Hello and good evening. It is Monday, February 17th. My name's Jude Sullivan. I'm in Dodgeville, Wisconsin. I hope it's going well wherever you are. It's a very, very cold day for us today with wind chills below zero, but we're staying warm in our hearts as well. And hopefully, this information will warm you up or fire you up. I've got some information to share with you about a concept that we call activation. Just to give you some background about me, if you've never met me before, again, my name is Jude Sullivan. I've been in the healthcare field for over 35 years. My training is as a clinical exercise physiologist. I did everything from patient care to research, trained trainers, um, helped with personal training, worked facilities and managed people and organizations. So pretty much seen this and been there and done that in a variety of different ways before. And the one thing that I felt was somewhat lacking in the healthcare arena was this idea of reversing disease because nobody really talks about that as being a possibility. And what I found in the last few years is that through the process of activation, that potential is actually there. And so, just going to share some information about that, weave in maybe a few stories, show you some pictures, and just give you an appreciation from a 30,000-foot view of what this might look like. And as you know, or may not know, I represent a company that's called LifeVantage. They're known as the Activation Company. And what we do is we help people to flip the switch, feel better, and do more. And so, what we like to say is if you want to be well, you have to fix the cell. But as we talk about this, we don't claim to be curing or treating or mitigating any types of diseases. But what we're going to show you is there's some clinical background, clinical validation, and viability about the process of activation and how it works. Um, this is not going to be a huge 4 hour presentation. We're not going to do anything like that, but we will take some time to describe what that's like because the conversation does change compared to what you might have been hearing from other healthcare providers in the past. So this slide is the quintessential example of how we talk about health now as it relates to activation. Uh, Really, the culprit in many diseases, I'm talking hundreds of different diseases, is a process of inflammation. And inflammation develops in our cells through a process of free radical damage. Free radicals are little villains in our cells, which kind of ruin the cell. And those become present through a process of called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is something that's a natural part of our cells, but if it goes unchecked, it can become very, very problematic, and the cell becomes sick. And if one or two cells become sick, that's not a problem. But if a number of cells become sick, then tissues become sick. And when tissues become sick, organs become sick. And then we start to have a whole host of different problems. So if we look at you in the middle here, depending on the different organ system that we're talking about, a disease can start to present itself or the symptoms of disease based on this inflammation that we're talking about. But depending on your own DNA, it can express differently for different people. And so I always like to give the example of my father. When he was 50, he had a heart attack and then he had bypass surgery to alleviate some of the symptoms he was feeling. And so the process of having a heart attack didn't just happen on a Thursday randomly. There was a process of disease that developed until he had this problem with a heart attack and then the subsequent surgery. He was given a number of different medicines to control other symptoms with the idea that they're going to prevent the progression of the disease, but the disease still quietly consumed him because he wasn't aware of the symptoms. And so the process of the disease happening didn't change. He was just not aware of it because the symptoms were changed. So what we're going to talk about is this idea of nutrigenomics. And nutria means nutrition, and genomics relates to your DNA or your gene expression. So if you can change the expression of your DNA through the nutrition that you take in, we can have a different expression, which is more healthy for your body. So some people say, well, I take supplements or I eat well, so what else can I do? And so we're all in on this idea that, yeah, we need to eat well, and maybe you can be taking supplements, but the thing is that people take supplements as substitutes. And so we're not trying to cover anything up, and many times people will take a supplement assuming that there's a deficit, and that may not even be present. And so what happens is that you end up flushing all these supplements down the toilet after you've taken them. And so people are spending hundreds of dollars in many cases per month to try to, um, improve their health, which is a very noble thing. But again, it becomes just a slog of nothingness. So what we do is we try to have people take it to make it. So we take something in the form of high level nutrition that helps turn on your body's machinery to help prevent diseases and the increase of the inflammation in the cell. And so that's a process that we call activation. So LifeVantage brought a product to market. This product was actually sold on the shelves of GNC and other health stores and pharmacy stores for a long time, but nobody knew how to tell the story. And what I like about this, again, being that I have had spent so much time in the healthcare field, is supplements aren't really well regulated, and there's really not a lot of research behind them to validate their viability. But with Protandim Nrf2, which is used to reduce oxidative stress, there are peer-reviewed studies. So it's not done by the company, it's done by university studies. You can see there's a whole list of them here, not just in the United States, but even some overseas. And it's documented that you can actually reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. So here's the example again, going back to can I eat better or can I take a supplement? Well, if you wanted to take 120 vitamin C tablets every single day or eat over 300 oranges every single day, you might get the same impact that you would get by taking one LifeVantage Protandim Nrf2 tablet, which is designed to reduce oxidative stress. And the idea is that that's happening every single moment of the day, 24 hours a day. So your machinery is turned on and then it stays on as long as you remain activated. Where if you try to eat your way through this, well, for one, I don't know if you can eat 300 oranges every day, but you'd have to repeat that process every single day. And so it's not really a very feasible approach compared to activation. So Washington State University actually did a meta-analysis of studies all around the world that were being done to look at Nrf2 activation. And what they found after surveying all these different studies is that, and the opinion that they reached was Nrf2, or raising Nrf2, is likely to be the most important health promoting approach in the foreseeable future. And so we're definitely in that wheelhouse of raising Nrf2 in a safe way and turning on the switch that helps reduce oxidative stress. So again, this is what it is. We try to neutralize oxidative stress by reducing oxidative stress as much as 40% in 30 days. This supports the natural cellular repair and rejuvenation process of every single cell in your body. And there's like 30 septillion cells in your body. That's a lot. You can't count them on just your fingers and toes. And what the National Institute on Aging found is this same product can actually increase the lifespan in animal model research by as much as 7%. And so if you think about it, we're not just increasing the quality of life, but we can increase the quantity of your life. So many people now, they're like, well, I don't know if I want to live that long, if I'm going to be debilitated, or I can't remember, what happened 2 minutes ago. Excuse me. But if we can increase the quality of life while increasing the quantity of your life, isn't that the way most people want to continue to live their lives? So here be an example of a blood cell that is not being activated. And so we see gene expression within this cell. Some of it's too high, some of it's too low. But once we start activation, the too high comes into check and the too low comes into check. And so we have an optimal expression of the genes because of the Nrf2 being present in the body. This is another example of a live blood cell, a live blood sample of blood cells. So these are red blood cells. And what you can see here is that they're all kind of clumped together. They're sticky, they're disorganized, and this is not a very healthy looking cell. The same person, after having been activated, you can see the red blood cells are now separated. They all look healthy. They're not clumped together, and they'll be more able to actually take oxygen to the cells that they need it, and then remove carbon dioxide and other waste as they're supposed to do and what they're designed to do. From a global perspective, this is just a metabolic review of a man who was a heavy drinker. The AST and ALT signs are indicators of good, healthy liver function. In this case, the pre-measurement is one of being unhealthy. So this person is experiencing alcoholic fatty liver disease. And so he started taking NRF2. He didn't change anything else about his drinking patterns. He didn't start exercising or changing his diet. He didn't do anything. And 5 months later, you can see how his liver processing had improved just by addressing oxidative stress. What I like about this as well is there's a placebo effect that is very present, and we rely on this a lot, actually. And so we want to know that if I'm taking something, or if you're going to take something, that it's going to benefit you. And so there is a psychological part of it. But with animals, you can't influence them with a placebo effect. And so you can see in the case of these brothers, they're both 7 years old. One was activated, the one on the right, and the one on the left was not activated. And you can see there's a clear difference in just their appearance. Again, looking at animals, these two, they're not brother and sister from the same litter, but they're from the same genetic line. They're both 13 years old, but one was activated when they were 4 years old. And so this again goes to show that the earlier you can activate it and the more consistently you can say activated, the more profound the effect will be. So we're going to switch now that we're talking about oxidative stress, but the cell can be impacted by the engine of the cell, which is the mitochondria. So we all drive our car and we rely on the engine to take care of us so we can get to it is where we need to go. And our cells need energy. And so Protandim NRF1 Synergizer helps the health of the mitochondria. It helps the number of the mitochondria, which promote energy within the cell. And so if we can boost the production of the mitochondria, their ability to coordinate their network and communicate with one another, the function of the cell is improved as well. And then finally, we have an NAD synergizer. So again, we have the NRF2 for oxidative stress, the NRF1 for the mitochondria, and then the third one to revitalize, we have the NAD synergizer. So this promotes and supports autophagy, which is removing the waste from the cells. So if you have garbage collection at your house, you can think of it, that's the garbage collector, picking up all the garbage and taking it out of your cells. And what this also does is it helps improve mental focus and concentration, mood and motivation, and a lot of other psychological indicators. And so what you see common in society right now is people use intermittent fasting to try to get this same type of effect. Some forms of fasting have been shown to improve the function of people who are prone to seizures and epilepsy and things of that nature. And so this, without having to go through the process of a fast, can improve your NAD function without, like I said, having to go through a fast. So wow, we have these three synergizers, and LifeVantage is, pretty happy about themselves. And they're like, well, what if we put them together? Would anything happen to any one of these if we had somebody take all three of them together? And so, in fact, it actually does. So if we look at the bars here, these are just different gene expressions. Excuse me. The panel on the left shows the NRF2 synergizer, the panel in the middle, the NRF1 synergizer, and then the panel on the right, the NAD synergizer. And so you can see the circled bars, which indicates how these would perform if you were to take them by themselves. If we look at taking them together in a tri-synergizer form, all three at the same time, you can see that in every single case, it amplifies the expression of every single gene. The worst case scenario is you're going to improve the gene expression by 40%. That's a pretty big number. And in the best case scenario, you can see it's almost 850%. So clearly, what we've been able to show is that taking any one of these are really important, but you can actually magnify the impact of all of them if you take them together. Wow, what a difference. So then the companies are starting to think, well, can we mix and match these things together if we were to stack them together? And Dr. Jeff Fannin, who's a neuroscientist, he works a lot with teenagers and kids who are being afflicted with ADD and ADHD. He does a lot of treatment, well, not treatment, but he'll evaluate treatment interventions using brain scans. And so he has protocol to try to help these young people out. And then he'll do before and after brain scans. And so he was working with this one particularly resistant teenager, and he did a brain scan. So you can see there's two different panels here. The one on the top on the left, you see the blue and the red lines, and there's a lot of disorganization. There's a lot of chaos because of the representation of those lines. And in the bottom panel, same concept, but you're seeing colors, yellow, oranges, and reds. And both of these indicate that the brain is angry. It's not able to really coordinate its thinking. It's kind of disorganized and chaotic. And so Dr. Fannin thought, well, I'm going to give this person NRF2, NRF1, and then our Axio drink, which is a brain NRF2 version as well. And so after 2 weeks, what he did is he redid the brain scan, and lo and behold, look at the scans to the right in both cases. And what he said, his comment after this was, this is astounding. In 23 years of doing this, I've never seen anything like this. And what's more important is that his parents and his teachers said, this is a totally different kid. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. He's totally responding to this. And isn't that something every parent would want to hear? This young child was having problems even trying to print. And so same concept after the Protandim NRF2 and the Axio drink, you can see how the printing was able to be changed because of the ability to coordinate what's happening from the brain into the motor neurons, the ones that activate the muscles that help you be able to print and write and do fine tuning work was improved. So we're going to shift gears. We're staying in the concept of activation, but now we're going to go into the concept of activation using collagen. And so collagen right now is used, we kind of look at it from a vanity health perspective. And so many people use it for brittle nails, for wrinkles, for hair loss and things of that nature. And typically products on the market, they'll have maybe 2, 3, or 4 peptides. So we have 28 peptides in our body, and a company is doing a good job if they can get 2, 3, or 4, maybe 5 on there. LifeVantage has been able to create a collagen preparation that has 10 peptides and is an activating collagen. So we're going to show you some pictures here. Some of these are the results are in as short as 2 weeks, some as much as 60 days, and we'll try to represent those as well as we can here. But again, you can see it. We're looking at it from an outside-in perspective. And so in these cases, you can see how the skin is changed, the wrinkles go away. And this is, again, just an overview of what I said. There's 10 collagen peptides, and Protandim has, its liquid collagen has 10 of them. And so it affects every single organ system in the body. So in this scan, what we show is the more yellow you see moving from the left panel to the right panel, the more dense your collagen becomes. And this happens to double the density in as short as 8 weeks of time. And so again, that's where you start to see the nails become harder, the skin has less wrinkles, the hair is not falling out. So again, this gentleman was a farmer. He noticed that was something was different using the collagen. And in his case, we talked about it already, he was using the Tri-Synergizer, the NRF1, the NRF2, and the NAD together. And he rushed into the house and he asked his wife to take a picture because he was noticing a difference. And you can document it like this. And we're a company that encourages taking pictures. I mean, if it's going to work, don't you want to validate it? And no other company that we know of is practically daring people to take a picture before and after. And again, this was in 7 months in this case. So again, the crow's feet, the bags under the eyes, the chin, and the neck in as little as 30 days. This is 2 weeks, maybe just under 3 weeks. Again, the décolleté in the neck. Again, the bags under the eyes and the wrinkles above the eyes. Lid formation, again, wrinkles in and around the eyelids. How many people are taking Botox to get this appearance? Injecting something that's a foreign synthetic substance when you can turn on your own natural machinery to get something that's even better and long lasting. Look at the legs here. This is just 3 weeks. This person's actually a physician, and she was a little embarrassed until she saw the difference. And again, she wouldn't have really thought of that until she took her picture. And that's kind of a common theme for many of us. We don't think it's working. We don't feel it, and we use the feeling as being our validation, but it's not always something that you feel. It's like my dad. He had a heart attack. He wasn't feeling anything until he had a heart attack. That's a pretty bad symptom to have right away. But in these cases, it's something that you have, if you're not really paying attention, you almost have to take pictures to document the change. And what we tell people is, if you're seeing this on the outside, can you imagine what's happening on the inside? Remember, we said there's 28 collagen peptides, and every single organ system is being affected. So a lot of people with gut problems who have what are called leaky gut, all of a sudden that problem starts to resolve itself as well. So again, all of the organ systems can be benefited, not just the ones that we see, like I said, the Vanity Health pictures, which are great to see, but there's a lot more that's happening on the inside. Aren't these pictures amazing? This is 9 weeks using the collagen activator plus the NRF2. Just amazing. Some people are taking medicines for problems that the medicine just doesn't work anymore. And so this man was having serious problems, as you can see. But the medicines, this is very common, either you'll have to switch to a different medicine type or you'll have to increase the dose because your body starts to get resistant. It recognizes that there's something different being put into it and it fights it. And so your body is always going to win that battle. This isn't winning, but it knows it doesn't want that synthetic anymore. So what he did is he turned to activation, and now look. Wow, what a difference. People with autoimmune diseases, sometimes you think, well, autoimmune, it's just a part of me. It's always going to be me. It's not the case. That can be influenced as well. It's just a matter of your body recognizing what is healthy and what is the right thing to do. Aren't these pictures just amazing? Can you imagine the pain that was in this person's hand on the top and then 1 year later, what it must feel like? Just incredible. Yes, even varicose veins. Our veins have a lot of valves in them to kind of keep the blood flowing. And when those valves fail, the blood pools. And so if we can get the valves working, injuries, this person had serious burns. And look at that. That's what, 3 weeks? That's just incredible. Some people have serious diagnoses. I talked about my dad. How many people are dealing with cancer? It's not just the cancer, but the treatments are just brutal. And so can I even come back from the treatment? That in and of itself can be a problem. And that was what this young lady was experiencing. And then being activated and using the collagen activator. Wow, what a difference. You can just see the brightness in her face. So like I said, we're just doing a 30,000-foot overview. We've got a whole suite of products that you can look at here. Again, we're called the Activation Company. And so we have things that can be ingested, things that are topical. There's a whole host of different things. So whoever showed you this video, make sure to get back with them to talk about what it is that you think you're going to be wanting to get activated with. We're just going to turn our attention real quick to the devastating effects of the metabolic condition of our country right now, especially as we see it in kids. because what's happening in our kids is nothing more than a representation of what we're experiencing as adults, and it should not be happening in kids. So if we look at different things like chronic health, type 2 diabetes, prediabetes in children, the presence of autism, the presence of overweight, the presence of cancer, all of these things compared to what we've seen 30 years or more are much more prevalent, and they shouldn't be seen at all in young kids, but that's what we're seeing. Many adults right now they don't just have one major diagnosis, they have two and oftentimes three. I told you about my dad's heart disease, then he developed diabetes and then cancer. That's becoming the common approach right now. So we have an answer that makes sense that uses activation, and it's a GLP-1 activator. So GLP-1 or a semaglutide or a liraglutide, these are the injections and the pills that are being prescribed all over the place right now as injections and sometimes in pill format. And there's said to be a lot of promise, at least that's what the marketing messages are. But we'll go through a little bit of the downside of it to be considered. But what does GLP-1 do? Glucagon-like peptide 1 is a hormone, and it helps with insulin secretion, and insulin helps control the amount of blood sugar that's in your bloodstream. It helps to slow digestion, to help you feel full, and then to tell your brain, stop, I don't need any more. So that suppresses your appetite. It can support your cardiovascular health, and it definitely has neuroprotective health as well. The downside is that what we're seeing with some semaglutides is that there's a number of serious cases of the over 20,000 that have been reported, serious meaning like hospitalization, and there have even been fatalities. And so the warnings on the box, the side effects can be anything from an inconvenience to a nuisance to something more serious. And what we're starting to see is that there's a greater prevalence of people losing muscle mass, losing bone density, and having serious psychological problems in the form of suicidal-like thoughts. And so these are becoming more prevalent. We're starting to see more reports of these now. And again, that's because we're introducing something that's foreign into the body to try to control what's happening in our metabolism. So again, that's why we want to talk about how can we use activation as opposed to going through an agonist, which is a synthetic version, whether it's a shot or a pill or whatever it is, and get the body to make more of what it's supposed to be making, and your body's going to be okay with that. So LifeVantage has what's called a mind-body GLP-1 system, and it's a 2-point system, which we have where you take 2 capsules of MB Core 30 minutes before your meal, and then you wait for 30 minutes. So no calories during that time. And then after that, you can drink 4 scoops of the MB Enhance. And you can do that in half. You can do it at different points throughout the day. However you want to do that, that's solely up to you. You can drink it in a mix in water. If you put it in coffee, you can mix it in your yogurt. No problems there. But what's nice is there's no drugs, no needles, no harmful side effects, and no outrageous expenses. The other thing about the semaglutides is that if it's not working, it becomes a very expensive proposition to continue to take something for you to not be losing weight anymore. So it's a dual activation system. So it helps promote the increase of GLP-1 in your system, and it helps prevent the breakdown of GLP-1 so it stays in your system that much longer. So what is the net of this? GLP-1 on average is increased by 140%. In a study, a clinical trial using this product, people lost an average of 9 pounds in the first 8 weeks and up to 25 pounds in 12 weeks. So I want to draw your attention to that because some people think, well, I haven't lost that much weight. But what happens is, especially people who might have been taking a semaglutide before, is that when you take something that's foreign, it shuts down your body's machinery from making what it's supposed to be making. So when you withdraw off of that, it's going to take time for the body to kind of wake up before it can even be activated. So remember that. But the other part of it is that it just takes time for your body to get activated. And so what we find is that people who are activated with the Tri-Synergizer, like we talked about in the beginning, those people will respond even faster. So if you're considering doing this, you might want to consider expanding what your approach is, not just going on the MB GLP-1, but thinking about how you're going to activate your whole system. The big thing here, though, is that people who are losing weight, they're maintaining their muscle mass and they're maintaining their bone health. So these people were scanned, their bodies were scanned, and they noticed that the muscle stayed. And so that's something that we're not seeing with people who take the semaglutide shots. They're losing, as I said, maybe 40% of their body weight loss is in the form of the healthy weight, the muscle and the bone. And that's not good because your body doesn't replace it. If you go off of it, the bone is lost, the muscle is lost, and you start gaining fat back. Not a good combination. And so when people are taking our MB system, they lose 27% of their visceral fat. So that's the stuff that's in and around the organs, not just the stuff that's between your skin and your muscles. And then the overall body fat is reduced by as much as 5%. We're patent pending on this right now. So there's a lot of excitement around this. So again, you can take a synthetic GLP-1 and lose not just fat, but you can lose everything else, or you can take a GLP-1 activator, lose fat, and keep the same body mass. And I pretty much reviewed that, so I won't take up too much more time on that. Same with that. So again, like what we did with collagen, just going to show you some videos here, or excuse me, some pictures. And the pictures tell a lot of words that I could never express. But the thing I wanted to, again, draw your attention to is the timeline on some of these. And some of these people were activated before they started the MB system. So just kind of think about that. So if the scale isn't changing the way you want, people are losing a lot of inches until the weight starts to come off. But you can see how the compositional changes make the body look different, even if the weight change isn't real huge. So people are looking for maybe 10, 15, 20 pound losses, but maybe they're only getting a 6-pound loss, but they're losing maybe 20 inches around their entire body. So it does make the body somatotype look really, really different. That's a 7-day difference right there. Incredible. So again, a lot of people just stating their experiences. The big one here that we talk about is food noise. So food noise, we've been conditioned since we're kids to eat in certain patterns, either by way of habits that we had as a family, or maybe how we respond to stress or excitement, and just society. We don't eat because we need to eat in our country. It's something to be thankful for, but it also has caused us a lot of problems. And so we're always getting noise, what we call this background noise, whether it's a commercial, whether it's an ad in a pop-up on your computer, whether it's just a thought that goes through your head, a building that you walk into. All of these things start to trigger. And as we're eating our meal, we're already thinking about the next meal we're going to eat. It's kind of sad, but that's kind of the way it is. And so the food noise for a lot of people has been diminished dramatically, and you just don't really realize it until you've actually experienced it. So are you ready for a change? I mean, why wouldn't you? After seeing all the documentation here, who wouldn't be ready for a change for their body composition, their body weight, and their overall health? So I'm going to switch gears real quick. We've been talking a lot about health and how we can activate our bodies and the health of our bodies. We're going to talk about activating our bank accounts through business activation, and just give you a quick overview about what it is that we do in case this is something that you would want to maybe consider for yourself, or somebody who might be looking. LifeVantage is a perfect vehicle for you. We have a number of consultants in the United States, but we have a plenty of room for growth right now. We're headquartered in Utah. We're a publicly traded company, so there's complete transparency about what the business is and how we operate. We're debt-free, and it's a total turnkey system. So it's just a matter of stepping in, stepping up, and getting connected to get yourself ready to go. We do have representation around the world. So even though we're a US based company, we do have representation in a number of different countries around the world, and we are continuing to grow. So what do you want to make on an average on a monthly basis? The initial consultant is making $8 a month. Big whoop, that's a cup of coffee maybe. But look at the middle ranks. If we're at a managing consultant two, somebody's making $3,000 plus per month. I think that would put a pretty good dent in people's debt load if they could make that just that little bit every single month. And then we have, the superstars who are making over $100,000 a month too. So what we try to do is help people maintain perspective on, where it is that you're targeting, how much time do you have, and trying to marry those two things together to keep perspective in the proper place so that you have the best opportunity to grow a business that's fulfilling for you. So we grow a business by sharing, by building and growing, and by leading. So there's a bunch of different ranks that you can achieve depending on the amount of time you have, the amount of will you have, and the combination to grow a business. You can grow through a team-oriented business, or you can become a seller. So we do have an affiliate program. So people who are maybe really what would be called influencers on the social media space, this might be something that be appealing or attractive. But you can earn a minimum of 10% on every single sale of all the products in the categories of the product suite that we gave a little reference to before. And then we have little bump ups with different levels of income of the selling that you do. So if you reach a threshold of selling between $500 and $1,000 in a month, you'll get bumped up by 5%. We call that recognition Onyx. If you're between 1,000 and 2,000, you'll get a bump up to 10%, and we refer to that as the Emerald. If you're between 2,000 and 4,000, you get a bump up of 15%, and we refer to that as Sapphire. And anything over $4,000, we give you a bump up of 20%, and we call that Diamond. And we have people in our company who are double, triple, and quadruple diamonds. So it doesn't just have to happen one time in a month. It can happen multiple times per month. So if you like to sell and you have a will to sell and you have a strong following, or you have a number of people who would really be interested in this might be something that's appealing to you. And can you imagine with the GLP-1 system, which we just showed you, if you only had 4 customers purchasing every single month, that's an extra $106 per month. Okay, only 4 people. And you can see how it escalates quickly from there, depending on the number of customers that you acquire for yourself. So you can build and grow. So if you'd like to develop a network of people, if you have a kind of a way about you of developing teams and creating networks, this might be something that's really appealing to you. It doesn't take a lot to make something that's respectable. Like I said, a managing consultant too, making $3,000 a month, that's pretty good money, and it doesn't take a big network of people to help do that. But you're starting the process of mentoring. So it's not just the term that people talk about is getting them in. It's not about getting people in. It's about sponsoring somebody. And are you going to mentor them? Are you going to develop them? Are you going to show them how to do something? The way we describe it is you're in business for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself. We rely on each other. We team up with each other, and we try to help each other and encourage each other. And then we cheer each other on with every success that you have. And you can see here, depending on the level you get to, there's a number of levels of extra compensation beyond the initial things you make on every single month. And then if you want to take it to another level, if you want to lead, if you want to be what we call a massive leader or organizational CEO type person, you get additional generational length. So the people that you invested specific time with, and they want to do something with you in the way that you're doing it, and you create a legacy with them, not just 1 or 2 people, but 3, 4, and 5 generations deep, and just helping create a legacy, not just for them, but for the people who are working with them. And then with this big organizational program, you have the ability to have shares in the company. So every month, the company looks at the amount of revenues that they've acquired throughout the whole world. And so, can you imagine where you're working in little old Dodgeville, Wisconsin, and you have a piece of the pie in Japan or Australia or Canada or Germany? So as you create a legacy for others, you create a legacy for yourself, and the company will give you shares that will be brought to you in the form of revenues based on what's made throughout the entire world by the company. And so now what you're doing is you're helping the company by helping anybody, whether they're in your organization or they're working outside of you. And so we're a total team, a total family together. One final thing we have are Activate Adventures. They're incentives. They're incentives that are for business. They're incentives for acquiring certain levels of success. They're incentives for being recognized for doing the good work. And so we have travel incentives currently happening for South Africa and for Alaska. And then every quarter we have what's called a growth summit. So once you reach the level of managing consultant 3, the company will fly you out to Utah and they'll do specific training for you to help you take the next step when you're ready to do that. So the big question we have then is, are you intrigued, for one? We'd love to answer any questions that will help you make a decision that will be in the best interest of you and your health and your wealth. So do you want to become a customer or do you want to become a consultant? We just want to know, what is it can we do to best serve you? So where do you begin? You can begin by buying a stack as a customer, or you can buy a stack as a business owner. This is a little outdated. We currently have a kind of an incentive going for people wanting to go through a weight loss journey. This is happening right now, and so people have signed up for this, and we have $30,000 in cash on the line for people to tell their story about how they've activated their health. So again, just another little snippet of how the company works to the benefit of their customers and the benefit of their business owners. So again, I just want to say thank you for taking the time. We know that your time is precious and we don't take it lightly that you made the time to watch us. Please, please, please be sure to get with the person who got you introduced to this product line and to this company and to this organization. We'd love to answer your questions and help you get on the way. And so with that, we'll call this officially